Hello, Pirates. Want to talk to you about the Charles Law Lab. It has kind of an interesting setup. So this video is just to show you how to set the lab up, collect your data. We'll go through some illustrations with it, and then I'll actually show you some live feeds, just so there's no confusion on what we are doing today. So Charles Law, volume versus temperature. We'll get into the relationship, what's going to happen with it. But first, we just have to see what's going to happen. So a couple things. We're going to be dealing with a thermometer, a capillary tube. We're actually going to have dental rubber bands, like you'd put around your braces. We have hot oil. We got a whole bunch of stuff. So basically, what we're going to do is we are going to get some oil in a capillary tube. We're going to submerge it in a big vat of oil up front. So this is the PDF that you could look at. Once we get that, we're going to take that at our tables. We're going to have our brown paper towels or water pushers, since they don't absorb anything. We're going to use those as a marker to see where this little this little plug of oil that's in the capillary tube, where that's going to go. And it might be easier for me to illustrate this. So this here is the thermometer. This here is the tube. And this is what we care about, this little plug of oil right here. And that oil is going to move this way. And we're going to keep track of where that is going, how far it's moving up, and we're going to be looking at that volume. And to mention that this is the volume that we care about. Charles' law is temperature and volume. So we are going to be looking at the temperature and the volume. Okay, so we're going to keep track of that. That is what we are looking at. You're going to have to be prepared for this lab. It moves very fast once it's ready. So you have to have all the pieces ready before you decide to get your oil. You have to know who's going to be doing what. You're going to need someone who's going to be timing. You're going to need someone who's going to be recording. You're going to need someone who's going to be marking. So it's going to be all hands on deck for this lab. It's a fairly simple lab, but again, there's lots of moving parts to it that everyone has to be ready and on the same team for. So at that part, we're going to stop. I'm going to switch over to a video, and I might come back to this a little bit. I'm going to show you the setup, and then we'll get going. Okay, let's walk through everything we're going to need today. First off, we have a giant beaker full of hot oil. You can even see those lovely convection currents going in there. This is fresh. So this has been heating and heated. I could take a quick temperature and get a read. So this is pretty hot. These are, you want to definitely be using a 150 degree thermometer. I know it's above that, so I'm going to get ready to take it out so I don't pop this thing. But I see that going up. Oh, good. We're not all that hot. So that's going to stay up here. Okay. Back at your table, you're going to have a bunch of stuff ready. You need a pen. You need some dental rubber bands. This is a closed end capillary tube, and if it lets me, so you see that end is closed and that end is open. You're also going to have a ruler. You need this paper towel underneath your ruler, so about that size. And then again, you have your own 150 degree thermometer, and then you have an extra piece of paper towel. So that is the equipment that you're going to need at your table ready to rock. And then this is the equipment that is going to be in the fume hood. All right, let's talk about how to set up your portion of the lab. You're going to take your capillary tube, and you can see the open end, okay, versus the closed end. So that end is rounded and closed. That end you can see has an opening on it. You want that open end of the capillary tube all the way at the bottom of your thermometer. Okay, kind of want to set it up so you can see the numbers. I'm going to take my rubber bands. Sometimes two hands will help, but it is just me making this. So I'm going to get that rubber band, try to get a twist on it to get it on. You're going to want two rubber bands because one, I guarantee you, will break. When it's in the oil, they get too hot and then they just fail. So I want to get two rubber bands on there just like that. Okay, so there's my initial setup, and it doesn't have to be all the way at the bottom, but that's fine. And again, I kind of want to have it set so I'm going to be able to see both the capillary tube, and I'll be able to see my numbers here when I'm ready. So that's the first portion to set up. Okay, now you notice that I have the paper towel underneath it. What I'm going to want to do, and I can do this even before I leave to go put this in oil, I have the top of the capillary tube. I know it's hard to show, but I'm going to put a line, and I'm going to mark, and I can even just write top. That's the top of my capillary tube, and I care about that point. So when I come back, I'm going to be putting this right at that same spot, okay, when I set this up. So at this point, you have your thermometer with your capillary tube, double rubber band, open end down towards the bottom, and you have a piece of paper towel. You've set everything up at your table. Once this step is done, you'll have to move very quickly back to your lab station to begin collecting data. Usually the teacher will do this portion. We're going to insert this into the hot oil, fully submerged on the tube. We're going to make sure this doesn't go past the 150. We'll slightly take it out. We will let it cool, and it'll collect a little plug of oil. I'll show you that at a later portion of the video. So now we'll insert this. We'll let it heat. We're about at 110. We'll slightly remove it. And now we take it out, we put it over our towel, and now we hustle back to our lab station. All right, so you've gotten your oil, you were in the fume hood, you hustled back to your table. You now need to get a bunch of data really quick. We're talking like 30 seconds. The data that you're gonna be getting, the most important piece, you're gonna be collecting the temperature. And as you are doing that, let me zoom in on the area I need. You're going to be making marks, and this is a sample piece, on where you're going to see a little piece of oil right here. And I think I can show you, I have the other one, if you can see, right there. That's the oil we're talking about. So it's a little plug of oil, and that's going to start all the way down here, and it's going to move this way, okay? So when you start with it, you're going to have, let me back this back out. You're going to have that marked at the top there. And then you're going to have someone ready to mark where that oil is as it moves. You're going to have a couple jobs. Someone's job is going to be to record the data. And the data they are going to be recording is the temperature. You're recording the temperature. The other person's job is to be watching the temperature. So that temperature is going to be cooling. Your only job is to watch the temperature. One person's job will be to mark the oil, wherever it's at. When that person marks the oil, they're going to say now. When they say now, the person who's reading the thermometer will just yell out the temperature, and the person recording the temperature will write down the temperature. And they'll say now, now, now. As you mark the line, you mark a line and you write a 1 under it. Mark a line, write a 2 under it. So then you know that was mark 1, 2, 3, 4. You probably, maybe, hopefully, will get 4 or 5 pieces of data. Okay, so it's going to go pretty quick. That oil is going to move pretty quick. I'll try to show you a demonstration of it, but this is something that you're going to have to do a couple times to try to get it to work. Okay, so let me get this set, and then we'll run a test on it. I'm going to lay this down so the top is right here. I'm going to come and I'm going to mark. I know it's hard to see, but I'm going to mark the top of that plug, and I'm going to say that temperature was 130, and then I see that plug move a little bit. It's right here. I'm going to mark it again. Now, 125. I'm waiting for it to pass that mark. I mark it again. Now, 120. I let that move a little bit more. I'm just letting it pass. All I'm doing is I'm just making marks on that thing as it goes. I know it's showing up a little crooked on this camera angle, but it's actually where it's supposed to be here. Now, I mark it again. I'm at 115. So this thing just keeps moving in this direction, and I'm going to be recording these here. I'm doing it by myself, so I didn't have anyone to do with me now, but I'll have that data recorded, and then I'll show you what we are going to do. Okay, next step is getting the distances. we are looking at the distance in the capillary tube. Okay, I don't know if I can get a good look here. Let me zoom in for you. We're looking at this distance from the very top of the capillary tube here to the top of the plug of oil right there. That's the distance we care about. And it's not really a distance, it is a volume, because in there, in this capillary tube, there is a whole bunch of gas. That is the gas we care about. We care about the temperature of that gas and the volume of that gas. So that is what we're going to be getting data on now. So if I look at my board, I had collected my temperatures, I had my marks right here, and I had the top mark of my capillary tube. So now I lay out my ruler in millimeters, and from mark number 1 to the top, I'm looking at 86. So that's 86 millimeters. And the second one, again, I leave it from here to the top. I'm looking at like 83. In case there was any more clarification needed, again, here is the setup. This is the hot oil coming right from the fume hood to your table. You make your initial mark. You're going to have this on a data table. This kind of just shows you in one spot. You have your top of your capillary tube marked there, and then you would have called out now, 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 and as you mark now, you'd be marking these lines as you go, and you have their temperatures recorded, and then you can go on to analyze this data.